the shadow beneath. It was a dark and stormy night. The rain lashed against the windows, and the wind howled like a banshee outside. I sat alone in my room, huddled under a blanket with only the dim light of my laptop to illuminate the gloom. I had been working on an assignment for hours, but my mind kept wandering to the eerie noises outside. As I was about to shut my laptop and call it a night, a sudden knock at the door made me jump. I looked at the clock. It was well past midnight. Who could it be at this hour? With trepidation, I crept toward the door. "Who is it?" I called out, my voice shaking. There was no response, but the knocking continued, slow and rhythmic. I inched closer, my heart pounding in my chest. I reached for the doorknob, hesitated, and then turned it slowly. The door creaked open, revealing nothing but darkness beyond. "Hello," I ventured, stepping out into the hallway. The knocking had stopped, but I could still hear the storm raging outside. As I started to turn back toward my room, a shadow moved in the corner of my eye. I spun around, but there was nothing there, just the empty hallway and the closed doors of the other rooms. I told myself it was just my imagination playing tricks on me, but then I heard it again, a low, whispering sound coming from behind one of the doors. I inched closer, straining to hear what it was saying, but the words were muffled, indistinct. Suddenly, the door flew open, and a figure dressed in black lunged out at me. I screamed and stumbled backward, falling to the floor. The figure loomed over me, its face hidden in the shadows of its hood. I could feel its cold breath on my face as it leaned in close. "Who are you?" I managed to choke out, but the figure didn't answer. Instead, it reached out and grabbed my arm, its grip icy cold and vice-like. I struggled to break free, but it was no use. The figure was too strong. It started to drag me toward the open door, and I knew with certainty that if it got me outside, I would never come back. With a desperate surge of strength, I managed to wrench my arm free and scramble to my feet. I ran back to my room and slammed the door shut, locking it behind me. I leaned against the door, panting and trembling. What was that thing? Who was it? And why was it trying to drag me outside? I had no answers, but I knew one thing for sure: I was not safe in this house alone. I needed to get out, to find somewhere safe to hide until morning. But as I turned to grab my coat and keys, I saw that the window next to my desk was open, and standing on the other side, silhouetted against the stormy night sky, was the figure in black. It was staring at me with malevolent eyes, its hands reaching out toward me. With a cry of fear, I lunged for the window and slammed it shut. I locked it tight and then turned to face the room, my heart still pounding. The figure was gone, but I knew it was still out there, waiting for me. I had to get out of this house, but I didn't know if I could make it to the front door without being caught. I looked around the room, desperately searching for something to use as a weapon. My eyes fell on a heavy lamp on my desk. I grabbed it and hefted it in my hand. It felt solid and reassuring. With the lamp as my only protection, I crept toward the door. I could hear the figure scratching and clawing at the other side, trying to get in. I took a deep breath and threw open the door, swinging the lamp with all my might. There was a shriek of pain, and the figure stumbled backward. I could see its face now, twisted in anger and pain. It lunged at me again, but I was ready. I swung the lamp again and again, until finally, it fell to the ground, motionless. I stood there for a moment, catching my breath. Then I turned and ran for the front door. I fumbled with the locks, my hands shaking so badly that I could barely grasp the key. But finally, I managed to open the door and stumbled out into the storm. The rain pummeled me, but I didn't care. I just kept running, away from the house and the horror within. I didn't stop until I reached the safety of a nearby gas station. I collapsed against the wall, soaking wet and shivering. But I was alive, and I knew that whatever that thing was, it wouldn't be coming after me again. As I sat there, trying to calm my racing heart, I realized that I had left my laptop back in the house. All my work, all my files, they were all gone. But in that moment, I didn't care, because I had survived, and that was all that mattered. The next day, I returned to the house with the police. They found the figure in black lying on the floor of my room. its face contorted in a final rictus of pain. It was human, they said, just a man dressed in black, who had somehow broken into my house. But I knew it was more than that. There was something evil about that man, something that had been trying to drag me into the darkness with him. And I was glad that I had fought back and escaped. I never found out who that man was or why he had come after me. But I knew one thing for sure, I would never be alone in the dark again. As the days passed, I slowly started to piece my life back together. I moved into a new house, with new neighbors and a fresh start, and I made sure to always keep a light on at night, just in case. But even in the brightest of lights, I could still feel the shadow of that night lurking in the corners of my mind.